Okay, so I want you to take a look at this use case using ChatGPT, and it's one of the most unique use cases I've ever seen. Take a look at this use case and let me know if you think that this is a great use case which really showcases the amazing technology of ChatGPT, large language models, and how they can improve and make our lives and society better. Or this same use case, is it an indication of how cynical AI has become and how we're losing this sense of community to automation, and this is a terrible use case and we should stop it right away. It was on Reddit and I found it on the ChatGPT thread. The title is ChatGPT and a 92-year-old. And basically, to summarize what the situation here is, to give you some context, a computer technician, an IT guy, gets sent out on a job to the home of a 92-year-old elderly lady in somewhere in the US, and he's sent there ostensibly to fix her computer. When he gets there, when he gets to her house, he finds a very kind elderly 92-year-old lady with a Chihuahua. It's called a deerhead Chihuahua. And while he's trying to fix her computer, she keeps on talking, which is what a lot of elderly people do. And that's part of being elderly, is you kind of want to talk to people. And this guy who's nice, and he's like, well, I can't really talk. He starts talking to her about the history of technology, and they get on the subject of AI, and they keep on talking, and he realizes that he's not going to get the work done if he keeps talking to her. So he has this idea. He asks her, have you ever chatted with an AI before? And she gets really excited because she hasn't. She understands the field. She's studied a bit about AI. She knows a bit about AI. She reads about it, but she's never actually talked to an AI before. So he's like, well, how about you talk to ChatGPT here? I'll give you my phone. You talk to ChatGPT while I go ahead and fix your computer. And she says, okay. And what happens is, this is the conversation log. And this is what I want you to look at, okay? Because this is one of the most amazing transcripts of a conversation using ChatGPT that I've ever seen.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great, thanks. How about you?
Very good.
That's great to hear. What's been going well for you lately?
Tell me a little bit about deerhead Chihuahuas.
Deerhead Chihuahuas are a variety of the Chihuahua breed. They get their name because their heads resemble that of a young deer.
My friend here has a Chihuahua.
Nice. How does your friend like having a Chihuahua? Are there any funny or interesting stories about their dog?
Yes, I adopted her after my friend had brought her over. Actually, it was my granddaughter. I said friend, but she was both. And she brought her over from the hospital in Kitchener, and she brought her to me and she said, this little thing needs a home. So I've given it to her, but now she's blind, unfortunately, but I've had her 8 years.
That's such a touching story. It sounds like your Chihuahua has found a wonderful home with you. How has it been caring for her now that she's blind?
It's a little bit difficult, but she is pretty good and she's a tough little nut. And she is, of course. She has little mistakes, you know, on the road and things like that, which are a little annoying, but she can't help it, she being blind.
That sounds so sweet. It must be comforting for her to hear your voice and know she's loved. Do you have any special routines or activities you both enjoy?
We used to. I used to be able to take her out walking outside up the hill. You know, from where I live here, but unfortunately it was me that got sick. But she ran back down here, down the hill herself while I was laying up the hill, and she ran in and they knew something was wrong for her to return on her own. This was a few years back, and so everyone loves her that knew her. At the time she ran back and she sat at the front door, and they came looking for me, and found me, and I guess you could say she saved my life.
So here's my take on it, okay? On one hand, I think this is a great use case. Why is it a great use case? Because older adults have plenty of time, okay? They would love to have conversation, and they love it when people take an interest in what they have to say. And one thing about ChatGPT, it's very generic, and it always kind of, just the generic basic default prompt, it basically mirrors your emotions. So whatever you say, it's going to mirror it back to you. So if you just want to hear things, if you're lonely and you just want to have a conversation with something that responds back and it makes you feel heard, makes you feel listened, I think that this is an amazing use case. And I think that the older adults around the world would really benefit from having ChatGPT or a large language model. Of course, once we reduce the hallucinations a bit, but I don't even think it matters that much for them, because they're not looking necessarily for education. What they're looking for is someone to actually hear them. And it's very interesting. So if you look at the transcript with this 92-year-old lady, there's two parts here that really stand out to me. And I say, okay, well, why is this important? And had this the technician, had he, maybe if he had the time and he sat there, I think he would have gotten this as well. She talks about two things. She talks about why the little Chihuahua is with her, and she tells the story about how her granddaughter saved it from an animal hospital, and then she brought it to her, and now the Chihuahua is old and blind, and she pees on the carpet, and that's a struggle for her. But at the same time, this Chihuahua saved her life. She was on a hill somewhere. I think she passed out. She collapsed. She had some kind of incident on the hill. The Chihuahua ran back like Lassie in the old TV show, got some help and saved her life. So this 92-year-old woman and this Chihuahua are intertwined, and it's an amazing story. And anybody who walks into this woman's home needs to know this specific story, because this specific story about the hill, the blindness, the granddaughter, this is who this person is. Okay, this is the essence of that elderly lady. And I think what we need to do is let them, or give them, the opportunity to really show us who they are. And I think that this is what ChatGPT was allowing her to do. It was just allowing her to talk and sort of introduce herself and say, this is my story, okay? You're in my home. This is the story of an amazing, I'm not just an elderly, frail lady with a Chihuahua. We have an amazing story where we saved each other's life. There's a lot of subtext going on here. Now, what's the downside to this story? The downside to this story, obviously, is what kind of world are we creating when we can just use ChatGPT as a babysitter for the people that we don't have the time, the patience to really talk to. So a lot of us, and I never do this as a parent, ever. I never ever give my kid an iPad and just, let him play. Ever. Because that would be wrong as a parent. So we do this a lot with kids. We give them things to babysit them, and I think that the same thing is true for the elderly as well. And so what we're doing here is we're giving them a tablet. We're giving them someone to talk to, because we can't be fucked to do it, and that's a problem, because we need to. Because had the technician really spent the time and not read about this transcript, not read about her life from the transcript, but actually had talked to her about it, he would have found an amazing story there. And I think that goes to show us that what we need to do is we need to use this technology. This technology is great for people that don't have anybody in their lives. It's great. But if you're there, take the time, put down the thing. It's okay for 5 minutes you actually listen to her story. So this is my take on it. What do you think? Is this a good use case for ChatGPT? And if you like this, subscribe. I don't know. You don't have to subscribe. It's silly. I'm sure you have enough subscriptions in your life anyway. Cheers.